Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Monday. It's another week. How is everyone? Today for Hodgepodge Monday, it really is going to be Hodgepodge Monday. I have a few things that I wrote down that I wanted to share. Didn't really plan anything super amazing for today's talk. But we'll go into that in a bit. Gee, all my Kleenex disappeared. Sorry about that. Because you know what happens. The minute I press live, everything starts to drip. Good morning, older sibling. So, like I said, there's a few things I wanted to talk about this morning. I'm just going to do the guidance cards really quick while I wait for people to come on. And then we'll get to today's subject. Okay, so, oh look, we got the Hufflepuff again. Let's see. I'm going to try to focus on the guidance cards in the morning a little less since we do an Oracle Friday, on Aloha Friday, because I really want to focus more on the subjects. And I know it's a big ask for people to watch as long as they do. So, we'll see if we can trim it back a little bit. But I do like to do these because, you know, sometimes you just need that kind of pick-me-up message in the morning, right? That just something that says, okay, I'm heading in the right direction and I've got this. So let me just go back through one more time. 3 cards have already come out. Very fascinated by the ones that have because we got Hufflepuff last week, so I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. But, all right. There we go. So like I said, if you're new to watching, I usually do a little bit of a card read in the morning, just to get us started while I wait, so you don't have to stare at my face while I wait for people to come on. So let's see what we got here. But I am going to try to focus a little less time on these. So, oh, well, it still came up first. Hufflepuff. Hard work, patience, loyalty, justice, determination, and kindness. Be committed, be kind, be gentle, be supportive. You know, hard work and patience is a big thing, especially if you're going through shadow work. Hard work and patience is everything that you need to get you through, okay? Especially the patience. Loyalty, justice, determination, you need that. And you also need to be kind to yourself. Okay, the next one, have a problem, punch it in the face. No, not literally, but take your power back. So if you're having an issue, take your power back. Okay, the only person that can take your power away is you, because you give it away to somebody else. So take it back and own it. Own who you are and be proud of who you are. Fox, the Phoenix from Harry Potter. Heart filled with love is like a phoenix that no cage can imprison. That's from Rumi, the poet Rumi. So rise, I put rise on there. A heart filled with love is like a phoenix that no cage can imprison. And when it talks about a heart full of love, it means love for yourself. Okay, self-love is so important. You know, it is the main love that you will ever receive in your life, because, you know, it allows you to see the world a little bit differently. I mean, it doesn't mean you're wearing rose-colored glasses. What it means is that everything doesn't look so blah and blue because you hate yourself. Self-love is so important. The longest relationship you will ever have in your life is the one you have with yourself. Doesn't it stand to reason that you probably love yourself? Yeah, I know. That's a hard one, but it's doable. Go. How many people let their fears control their life? Find your courage. If you're anything like me, find your courage. My courage is out on vacation, I think. But how many of us have let our fears control our life? You know, that's something to think about and ponder on. And summer. Not sure what that means. Maybe warm, sending warm thoughts to everywhere where it's cold. I don't know. Or maybe whatever you're hoping for will happen by summer. It's up to you. It's up to you. So, let's get rolling. The one thing I wanted to talk about is, you know, I know that I focus a lot on mental health on the perspective, and that's kind of my you can see I'm struggling with the talking today, but you know, the struggle has been real this weekend. It has been extraordinarily real in the most fucktastic of ways. And I fell apart. I fell apart in the most glorious ways possible. And I thought I was past that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is one of the most important things to me about mental health and why I do this is to show you that, not every day is going to be spectacular, for those of us who do struggle with a dinged up mental health. We're going to have those days where you're just kind of like, sometimes you're hanging on by a thread, sometimes you're walking just fine, other times you might be hanging on by a rope going, okay, I'm just going to sit here and wait this out. When you're hanging on a thread, which is kind of where I was at, you're waiting for it to snap, but it doesn't, because people usually come in and they help you, and but sometimes no matter how much support you have, the one person that truly needs to get you out of it is yourself. And I have to tell you, I was just in such a place where, I had that net below me. Older sibling just kind of shadowed my moods for the weekend and just kept making sure I was okay, doing all right. And I mean, like I said, I kept spiraling gloriously. Now, we're in a very awkward time, and awkward's probably not even the right word to use for it, but we're in a very precarious time right now with things that are happening in Europe and bad things that are happening in Europe. And I know that if there's anyone out there that's like me, you're going to invalidate your feelings and consistently say, you know what, I don't have any problems. There are people with so many more problems and bigger problems than I have right now. And yes, that might be true, but your feelings are still valid. And I only say it might be true in the sense that, yes, you have a home. No one's dropping bombs on your home. But your feelings are still valid, okay? We always hear the term, it could be worse. You could be somebody that's over there in Europe. You could be somebody who's had to leave their home, from the Ukraine. But it's a fine line I'm walking here. And I recognize that. And to other people, it may not be. But to me, it is. Because I struggle with that too. And while I was gloriously falling apart this weekend, all I kept thinking was, I don't have problems. My life could be so much worse. I could be somebody who's had to flee my home. And so I wasn't dealing with my mental health at the time. And I'm not sure what it was. I think there were things that started to come out last night in my journaling that was just kind of like, oh, it's trying to come up and out. But a lot of times you don't recognize it at the beginning, especially when you feel like you're done with all the shadow work. Well, it's just like if anybody, stepping into the metaphysical lane, if anybody's familiar with Mercury retrograde, it's like 21 days of bullshit, basically. And I don't mean bullshit like not real. I mean bullshit like, Jesus Christ, I got to deal with this every day. Some people get through it just fine, no problems. Other times people struggle because it is kind of like, I like to think of it as like a magnet pulling all the crap out of you, pulling all the stuff out of you that needs to heal. But the minute, retrograde ends, when you hit that 21st, 22nd day, you're just like, yes, finally. But then stuff keeps happening, right? You're running late for, you might miss your plane, that you're supposed to always give yourself extra travel time. So here's the deal. Mercury retrograde has a tail whip. Well, I'm starting to notice that, shadow work has a tail whip. Now, I ask for patience because my brain is not, there's a circus going on in there, and it's not a fun circus right now. It's, the monkeys have gone wild in my head, and somebody tipped over the barrel of monkeys and they got loose. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, even with other things that are happening that are so horrible in other parts of the world, please do not invalidate your feelings because of that. Please do not invalidate what you're going through because of that. Okay? Yes, you care. We all care. We're all worried about what's happening over there. We're all concerned for the safety of the people of the Ukraine and the surrounding countries, and even the people in Russia who are protesting the invasion and getting arrested, and God knows what's going to happen to them after that. You just got to send out your love, your light, your prayers, your intentions, your manifestations, whatever it is that you turn to in times of crisis. But again, I think I was ignoring a lot of my shadow work because I have been focusing so much on the news and the world events that are happening right now, and just, really kind of putting my love, my light, my prayers in that direction, that I forgot to take care of myself. I wasn't checking in the way I was supposed to check in, and apparently this shadow work that I did had a tail whip, had a Mercury retrograde type of tail whip, and it hit me hard. It was like an Indiana Jones slap with his whip, and the struggle has been real for a few days. And so, if you're, like I said, if you're anything like me and you feel like you shouldn't have, like you don't have the right to feel this way because of what's happening to other people, please don't. Okay? I want you to know that your feelings are valid, that you are valid. Okay? And because I'm telling you, if you don't, it's going to add an unnecessary guilt that you don't need to pile on to your mental health. All right? It doesn't mean you care any less about what's happening on the other side of the world, or wherever you're at. I'm sorry. I know there's people all over that do watch this. So, wherever you're at, but from where I'm sitting, it's kind of the other side of the world. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Please don't invalidate your feelings. Even when there's things happening around you, when the world isn't in crisis, sometimes we tend to put ourselves aside because we feel like other people are doing so much worse, or have it so much worse than we do, or are struggling so much more than we are. If you don't take care of yourself, you are going to empty your cup. And then you will not be able to pour from an empty cup, because guess what? There's nothing in there. And if you try to, you're just going to stress yourself out more. You're just going to put yourself farther behind the 8 ball. So it's very important that you manage your own personal cup, that you manage what you keep in it and how full you keep it. We're not always going to feel super full, right? But as I was reminded this weekend, we're not a battery charge. We're not a positive or a negative. We're just kind of a mixture of both. We have emotions, and it's like and it was actually in a post where I was trying to explain to people that not everybody's always positive. We're going to have moments where we feel all the negative stuff, right? And maybe not all at the same time, but just variations of the negative emotions. And I was trying to show people that it's okay. You don't have to be positive 100% of the time. Okay? Because if you're faking it, if you're going to do the fake it till you make it thing, you're just not, you're hurting yourself. And that is my perspective. That is my opinion. But that comes from my own experience of trying to always be so positive to the point where I literally am drowning in my own positivity, and it feels like everything should be happening around me and it's not, and it suddenly turns negative. And that's kind of what happened this last week, as I was trying so hard just to be this positive person, to be this, to kind of put myself at the top of the mountain without having to climb it. Now, granted, I've shared all the shadow work I've done. I've clowned. That's what it feels like. Now the clowns are loose, apparently, in my head. I've climbed my own Everest, in trying to heal all these things. And like I said, there are always going to be little things that come up, or little things that trigger you. And I think I did have a few triggers this weekend that I really didn't see coming, because I was naive enough to think that once my shadow work was done, I was better. Was 100% better. No, I still have to maintain my mental health. I still have to maintain the things that trigger me. It just means that now I have the tools in my toolbox to do this. And that's kind of what I want to point out also, is that, to stock up the tools in your toolbox so that you can, heal these things, or deal with these things, or let them come up and out, feel it to heal it, right? Feeling it to heal it can be so painful. It can be so hard. But when you have the strength and the courage and the bravery to do it, you are going to find yourself in a much greener pasture than you're probably standing in now. And it's like I said, my journey is not everybody's journey. My journey was certainly not, or my shadow work journey was certainly not for the faint of heart. It was very difficult. Some people may get through their shadow work easily because maybe you have a therapist helping you through it, maybe you have a group therapy set, group people that you meet with, that you go through these things with. But for me, it's because I kept resisting. I kept resisting. Okay, so since I didn't really have anything planned today because my brain has just been on high alert to the animals are loose inside of my head thing, I wrote a few things down, but I found something interesting and it's on this pink card, and I will share this last because it's something I went through, and it turns out my words came to slap me back in the face, and not in a bad way, but in a very good way. However, like I said, just want to reiterate this one more time. I know there is a lot going on in the world right now. I know there's a lot of fear, a lot of tension, a lot of stress. I know we're worried about the people in the Ukraine who are either still there or are fleeing or, maybe even traveling back here. We're worried about the people in Russia who are protesting this invasion, who are getting in trouble for doing so. So right now, if you can help financially, if you can help, there's an Airbnb thing that somebody's talked about going around, that I've seen going around on social media. Doesn't mean you're going to stay there. What it does is it gives them funds, it gets funds right to them. Okay. And so there's those things you can do. You can pray. You can have maybe group sessions of prayer, rosaries, whatever it is that you do on the whole to remain spiritual during times like this. Maybe you can open up your home to people. There's a lot of things, just be careful the places that you do trust. Okay. And I only say that because, these are also the times when people are going to set up fake things and try to bamboozle people. So if you're not sure, and there are a lot of celebrities doing stuff, so maybe just look up them, right? I know I saw on the news the other day about Mila Kunis setting up something with her husband and stuff like that. So this is all just coming out of me. I don't know where it's coming from, but like I'm saying, if this is stuff that you want to do, then go in that direction. Okay, so like I said, and if you're not really trusting of some people, then look to the blue check mark people, okay, on your social media, because a lot of them are doing things too, and you can probably lend your support in that direction. So let's get back to our mental health. All right. One last time, again, I know there's a crisis going on in this world, but we still need to maintain and take care of our mental health. And if you have been falling apart spectacularly like I have because you haven't been maintaining your mental health, because you do feel, sometimes I have to say, I felt the feeling I had this weekend was like being alone in a crowded room. I did have older sibling, and she did her best, and it's no fault of hers. I struggled finding a way out. And, I think sometimes it's because I depend on people to be there, and people are busy. People aren't always going to be there when you need them. And they're not going to be there if you don't reach out, but then you don't want to reach out because people are busy. So sometimes these are the things we have to deal with. I will refer you back to December, like the 29th and 30th of November, and then December, where I did the 30 days of self-love. And in that, I had more of the tools that we can use for these types of things. It wasn't just your typical self-love, like, oh yeah, take a photo of yourself and stare at it for a billion years and learn to love yourself. I went a little deeper. I tried to get as deep as I could because I also wanted it to be a time of healing. It was more of a how to get to these points where affirmations work for you, because affirmations don't always work at the beginning, right? Sometimes we say these affirmations, and when things don't happen like this, when we don't have that patience or we don't see the changes, it's because we're trying to change a feeling inside of us that still needs to be healed. And certain affirmations may help, certain ones may not. Everybody's different, okay? But I wrote these down because first and foremost, I want you to see you. I want you to see who you are, and I want you to see what you bring to this world. Okay, and if you're still hanging in there and still watching at this point, then this message is for you. This message is to tell you that it's going to be okay, but it's going to be up to you to choose being okay. Okay, I know that can be hard. I know, trust me. This is, like I said, this is coming from my perspective. and my perspective, these are things that have happened to me in my life. Okay, these are things I've had to deal with, and I'm sharing it because I'm hoping that, you know, in the long run, it can help somebody else out there get to a more balanced or at least more stable ground. All right. So number one, I will post these in the comments on Facebook Live. I guess I can type these out into the comments on YouTube, but I will post these memes also underneath the posts on Twitter. So, you know, if you clicked on a Twitter link, it should be attached underneath. So number one, you look in the mirror and sometimes see a mess of a human being, but you don't see the lives you've touched or the people you've saved. You don't see all the love you've given freely or the extraordinary memories you've made. You are a book of beautiful moments and feelings. I struggled on the feelings part, right? You are a beautiful book of memories and feelings, moments and feelings. I'm going to read that one more time. You look in the mirror and sometimes see a mess of a human being, but you don't see the lives that you've touched or the people you've saved. You don't see all the love you've given freely or the extraordinary memories you've made. You are a book of beautiful moments and feelings. One of the issues I had this weekend was I sometimes feel like I love doing the perspective because, you know, there was a time in my life when I could have used something like this, and social media wasn't what it was when, you know, I was, you know, 20 years ago, right? We had no social media. I mean, the best we had, I think, was MySpace, which wasn't bad. It was a good way to connect with your friends, and we had Yahoo groups, right? From, you know, on yahoo.com. We had Yahoo groups, where it was just where I met quite a few of my online friends that I've known for, God, some of them going on almost 2 decades. And, but I think one of the reasons I do this perspective is because I do want to share, you know, like with 1,000 billion other people, right, out there. I want to share what I've been through, my perspective, the way I see things and the way I try to heal it, because one person may be able to help you in one area, one person may be able to help you in another, then you go in a different direction and might get something there. And that's how it's always kind of worked for me. So if there's anything in my message that helps somebody, then I know that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. I love doing this. I feel like it's part of my life purpose because I just want to help people get better. I want people, as I always say to people, I share my story so other people can heal theirs. And I have to be honest, last night I almost quit the perspective. I was tired of putting out a message that I'm not sure anybody ever watches. And it wasn't a pity party. Well, it might have been a little bit of a pity party, a little bit of a pity parade. But I told older sibling, I said, I don't see the point. Nobody sees these things. Nobody shares it. Nobody really, you know, I mean, I get the same people in the lives every morning, which I'm grateful for. I mean, right now it's Monday and I know there's people that are busy. So, you know, I have one person watching right now. And I feel like most of the time I'm doing this for the people that watch it later, which I'm not sure anybody does. You know, and I told her, I said, I can't get anyone to follow me on YouTube. I don't know why. It's like my numbers are just creeping up slowly, but I'm 30s, in the 30s. Okay, the very early 30s. That's right. Like 33 people follow my channel, which I'm excited about. And I'm grateful for, because that's 33 more people than I had however many years ago I started YouTube, right? And I almost quit. But then I remembered last week, well, she also convinced me not to. She says, you need to keep doing it, because what are you always saying? If there's that one person out there that hears the message, then it will have been worth it. And it is. Because it's never been about the numbers. And I had to remind myself of that. But I guess when you put something out there and you post something out there, it's not about how many people follow. It's about how many people I want to reach to help. But it's like I said, sometimes it's the ripple effect, right? These are things I've said in the past. And older sibling reminded me, if it touches that one person, then it's been worth it. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to keep going. But then I also reminded myself last night when I was laying in bed, just continuing my pity parade, that there were a lot of things that were just really kind of hurting me this weekend that just kind of, I don't know, threw me for a loop and just made me feel like I felt very worthless this weekend. I felt like I felt very worthless. This last paragraph I read meant nothing to me. And I reread it now and I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. But I also had to remind myself that last week I talked about this too. Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens. And we don't know when that 5 minutes is going to hit, right? We don't, sometimes you'll see, don't quit 5 seconds before the miracle happens, or don't quit right before the finish line. The finish line you can usually see. When you have mental health issues, mental health care is a moving target for everybody, because we can shift so quickly, right? And if we don't get that help, we shift even more, and it's just kind of like, oh wow, mind blowing. And then sometimes it causes that anxiety. Sometimes it causes us to be overwhelmed. And I was really there. My anxiety, which, like I said, I don't get anxiety that often, so it's not easy for me to handle because I'm not used to it. And I know that sounds dumb, but I think maybe it's just because I've always been able to handle it before it got out of hand, because it kind of walks hand in hand sometimes with my depression. But I also wanted to show people that, when we hear someone say, oh yeah, I have a diagnosis, and I say a diagnosis, that's kind of your fill in the blank, right? Yeah, I have blah, blah, blah. People sometimes who don't understand it look at us sideways, like, oh, so I don't want to hang out with you, you're just blue all the time. I am not blue all the time. Okay, right now, there is a lot of stress factors in my life. Okay, there are a lot of things that are adding to being overwhelmed and, having anxiety, and those are things I'm working on so that I can't, maintain and disable the anxiety, so I can disable these negative things that keep shooting at me. And sometimes it just comes down to believing and trusting that everything is going to be okay. And that may sound stupid. People are like, oh, fuck you, Shelly Marie. Seriously, believing and trusting. But sometimes it's what you have to do just to find your balance, just to find that foundation that you need to stand up on so you can get better, so you can heal your mental health. And, mental health doesn't, if you have a diagnosis, it does not go away. We want it to, but it goes into what they call, like cancer, remission. It means it's in a place where it's controlled, it's dormant. But that doesn't mean you don't have to maintain it. That doesn't mean you don't have to take care of yourself. If you have a dinged up mental health, you have to take care of yourself every day, even when you don't feel the need to take care of it. I have an alarm every morning that goes off on the weekdays at 8:01 a.m. I know it's a weird time, but it reminds me. And I have to do a mental check-in with myself, And on the weekends, I set it for noon, 12:01 p.m. And I check in with myself there. I just take a moment, like, where am I at today? Where am I at right now? And sometimes I admit, I just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's an alarm. And I don't take care of it. And that's why these things happen for me. But that's how I do it. That doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. Okay, but what I'm just trying to really express here is that, your feelings are valid. How you're feeling in this moment, how you're feeling, yesterday or today, it's valid. So the next thing I wanted to read is, whenever you find yourself doubting if you can go on, just remember how far you've come. Remember everything you have faced, all the battles you have won, and all the fears you have overcome. Then raise your head high and forge ahead, knowing you got this. All right. So again, whenever you find yourself doubting if you can go on, just remember how far you've come. Remember everything you have faced, all the battles you have won, and all the fears you have overcome. Then raise your head high and forge ahead, knowing you got this. Raise your head high and forge ahead, knowing you got this. So Friday night into Saturday evening was unplugging day. And it really left me a lot of time to get too far into my head, but also to kind of start to push out whatever it was that needed to be healed. One of the reasons I bring this up is because the National Unplugging Day is because the next, when I was able to get back to my phone, I was able to turn it on again. there were a lot of different memes. I've read two of them for you now that were on there that just really kind of hit me between the eyes. Everyone will say, oh, it's just coincidence. I believe everything happens for a reason, right? I saw these things at the time I needed to see them. And, so Saturday night I thought, okay, I'm feeling balanced again. But then yesterday afternoon, I lost my shit again, like last evening. And then finally, Sibling and I just started talking, and I was just, part of me didn't want to talk because I feel like, see, thank you. So, hi, Thomas, by the way. But Thomas says, amen to that, because that's what I try to tell my children what to do. We have to see the good in ourselves, even when we can't. And that's why I like these memes. That's why people do these memes, because they are going to pop up. Your higher power is going to stick it in front of you, or whatever it is that you choose to put your faith in. It's going to put something in front of you to put you back on the right track. It's going to put you in a mindset to remind you. And it may not hit right away. It may take time for it to hit you that, you are worthy. You are worth it. And strangely enough, last night, and I don't mean strangely I was on Facebook, but I mean, I get a notification, you have memories with so-and-so. Well, it was my friend who passed away a few years ago. And I thought, oh, we didn't take a lot of pictures, and a lot of them I don't have in my phone. So I get excited when they come up in memories. But it wasn't that. It was something, she was an animal lover. She fought hard for animal rights and everything. And it turns out that's what it was. But on my way to scrolling down, I found something that really, really kind of slapped me upside the back of the head. And it was everything I felt yesterday was exactly opposite of what this pink card said. And the most interesting thing about this pink card is it was a memory from March 6, 2020. So 2 years ago yesterday. And it was something I actually wrote for other people. And it was just in my Facebook memories. It was a post I had made 2 years ago. And it says, it isn't about believing that you deserve it. It isn't about believing that you've earned it. It's about believing you're worth it. And I am here to tell I'm here to tell anyone waiting for that sign that you are worth it. Okay, so again, it isn't about believing that you deserve it. It isn't about believing you've earned it. It's about believing you're worth it. And I am here to tell anyone waiting for that sign that you are worth it. I immediately screenshot that and sent it to older sibling. And I texted it to her. And I was like, yep, just sitting in my room on Facebook. And I literally just got schooled by my own words. And I don't remember everything I say. I can remember events better than everything I've ever said. But that really hit me between the eyes. And then I thought, okay, signs can come in all kinds of different ways. I didn't feel like listening to music last night, but I did it anyways because I needed to journal. And sometimes I put on either classical music or movie soundtracks to just kind of pull me out of my own head, right? Something else to focus on. Then I decided to go to the playlist that had words. And 2 songs in a row talked about rainbows. And I thought, that's my sign. Because rainbows are a sign of hope. They're a sign of better things to come. And, I can tell you my playlists have a lot of songs in them. And it's very rare when I hear either of these 2 songs, let alone at the same time, or not at the same time, but back to back. And the songs weren't necessarily about what I was going through, but the sign was a rainbow. I mean, they're both songs that talk about rainbows. And again, like I said, rainbows are a sign of hope and a sign of better things to come. And I knew in that moment that no matter what I'm struggling through right now, that I did get my sign. That, every higher power being that I was yelling at, saying, I don't get it. What have I done wrong? Why do you hate me so much? Actually don't. And that they are listening and they are hearing me. But I wasn't hearing them. and I wasn't listening. Signs are everywhere. Like I said, it could be a dragonfly flying right in front of you. It could be a hummingbird. It could be a pink butterfly. You know, the only times, I know this is going to sound silly because it is spring and pink butterflies are not an anomaly. But I'm telling you, the only time I ever see pink butterflies is when I'm thinking really hard about Sissy Joe, well, Joanne. And because she had breast cancer and pink was her favorite color, ironically. But yeah, that's usually the only time. Or if I'm going through something that I know she would have just whacked me upside of the head, you know, with her words, I'll see it. You know, I don't see dragonflies that often, but I know that when I need guidance from my mom, for some reason, poof, there's a butterfly or there's a dragonfly. And I've noticed too that there are times when I'm just feeling really low and I'll see a butterfly. Now, you're probably like, oh yeah, you know what, that's just good timing, or maybe you're just paying attention, or maybe you want to see that sign. Maybe that's the case. But signs are everywhere. You know, I had an interesting dream right before I woke up this morning that I was out at the Santa Monica Pier and I just, you know, I had gone into the water. Everyone's just like, are you crazy? Because I just went in all my clothes. My mom was there. Now, everybody that knows me knows my mom has passed away 7.5 years now. And all I kept thinking was, you know, considering the last few dreams I have had of us that haven't been that great, and I knew there were things that I needed to heal because it was my subconscious talking, I was just in the water. And at first my mom was like, is it cold? And I'm like, yeah, it's freezing. But then all of a sudden, I was just surrounded by like warm water. No, not because of that reason. It was just the water just turned warm. And I told my mom, hey, the water's warm. And then there'd be a wave that would come. And for some reason, I was wearing my glasses in this dream. But every time a wave would come, I would worry that it would just get in my face and get on my glasses and kind of, you know, distort my vision because, you know, water on your glasses, right? But the wave would either go over me or, you know, almost like a canopy of sorts, or I would just kind of go with the wave. And it was very peaceful. It was very smooth. And then later, other people just started coming in, and I couldn't see my mom on the shoreline anymore. And then when I got out, there she was. She's like, hey, you know, how was your swim? Did you, you know, blah, blah, blah. And everybody else was getting in their clothes too. And I looked up different meanings for the ocean, but none of them seemed to fit. So what I came up with was that I do love water. I love being in water. I mean, I am a water baby. But what I took from it is that, you know, yesterday I was talking about the ebb and flow of my mental health. And even though the tide was, I don't want to say sketchy, it wasn't calm, but it wasn't rough. But what I realized is that I'm learning how to go with the flow. And I think that's exactly what it was. Because, and actually this is just kind of coming out of me now. So you're learning this as quickly as I am, that it really was about me learning how to go with the flow. I mean, I literally was just floating there. I wasn't trying to swim in any direction. I was just kind of flowing with the tide, the in and out, to the point that's how I lost my mom in the crowd, because I had shifted from near the pier to way over, you know, towards more the middle of the beach. And when I got out, she was right there. And she had a towel for me, and she had a jacket for me, and magically, because it's a dream, my clothes just dried. And, you know, she asked me how I was doing. She's all, did I enjoy it? I'm like, yeah. And so when I woke up, I thought, well, maybe it was just a dream. But when I went to put on my watch this morning, you know, when you put an iPhone watch, and I'm not sure how the other watches work, but when you put it on the side, it looks like just a regular digital clock. It said 7:07. That is the exact time my mother passed away. And I always kind of see it as, you know, 7:07, 9:12, or 1:21, all important numbers that you know, correspond to my mom. Whenever I see those, I know that she's looking after me, that she's visiting me, that she's, you know, sending her prayers or sending her love or sending, you know, some kind of healing vibe towards me. But when I saw the 7:07, because it was the time she passed away, I realized this is the new chapter of my life. And I know that she's here guiding me. And I know that I can look to the higher powers that I believe in, God and all the others and the angels and all that. That's my thing. That's just my thing. Whatever it is that you choose to believe in, that's your thing. But know that they hear you. We may not get the answers in the time that we want, but you're being heard. And if you don't have a higher power, know that your heart hears you, your soul hears you. But the key is we have to listen. Sometimes we try to force things because we want it to be in our time. And that was one of the things that was also hurting me and just kind of throwing me, because I never thought that at my age I would be where I'm at right now. I had so many plans for my life. I had so many big dreams and expectations of my life. And last night I had to remind myself that while other people may be so much farther ahead of me, I had to deal with things in my life that I barely was able to keep myself afloat at times, because I didn't know how to heal, because I didn't know how to go inward and remove these icky bits in my life that held me back. And it may seem like an excuse, but to be honest with you, it's not. Even my therapist talked about that. We've had this conversation before when I was in therapy. And she says, she's all, you're here because you're trying to heal. She's all, there are a lot of people out in this world that have never had to deal with what you've had to deal with. And she's all, and I guarantee you, if you found other people who have, you would see that they probably feel the same way that you do. That they see all the people around them, living their lives, being successful, moving forward, just doing what they had to do. Because, and there are some people who have been through what I've been through and just kind of go on their merry way anyway. But I wasn't one of those people. My trauma lasted a very long time. And I had to really kind of break myself down to put myself back together the way I was meant to be. And because, I didn't have the support I needed early on, it put me behind. But even then, even if I had the support, that doesn't mean I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Our healing comes when it's meant to come. I didn't have the support I required way back when because I needed to be exactly where I am right now. To show people who are my age, or who are around my age, or people of any age really, to be honest with you, that when we're meant to heal, we are going to heal. When we are ready to move forward, we are going to move forward. But, I guess there's always a but, right? You have to make that choice to move in that direction. Nobody can push you in that direction. People can guide you in that direction. That's what I'm trying to do. I do my best to guide people in the direction of healing so that you can live a fulfilling life. Don't worry about how old you are. I put far too much emphasis on my age, which I think was the biggest stressor of them all. Because I don't feel, okay, here it comes. Sorry, I'm really trying not to get emotional. I feel like a disappointment to my parents. And, sorry, I apologize. Because I do see all the people around me who are doing so much better, who have their shit together. And I'm working hard on that. I'm working very, very hard on that. And they've never said anything as such, I've never asked them. I've never actually said to any, my mom when she was alive, or my dad, sorry I disappointed you. I've never said that to them because I don't want to put people on the spot. But that's my feeling. That's how I feel. Because I didn't go off and have, a great career. I didn't go off and do this, that, or the other. I'm not doing as well as some of the other people in my life. I am struggling. And sometimes we have to hit bottom so that we can actually see up. And if that doesn't make any sense, for me, I had to hit bottom in order to see the sky. Because when I couldn't dig anymore, you get tired and you lay down and you're just like, oh, and you're looking up and that's what you see. You see that light at the very end of that tunnel that you've dug yourself into. And you realize, hey, you know what? If I could dig this tunnel, I can climb out of it. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And I'm doing the best I can. And I do want to, I'm in this new chapter of my life. I've left my past behind. But as you can see, sometimes it's still going to sneak up and it's going to remind you how far you have come. So just remember that when you find yourself doubting if you can go on, just remember how far you've come. Don't worry about what people around you are doing. Don't worry about what people might say to you. My cousin sent me a reel this morning on Instagram that says, don't worry about what other people think. And then it says, because they're not thinking that often anyway, or something like that. Basically saying, don't worry about what other people think because, you know what, they're just dumb and their thoughts don't matter because they're not using their head the way they should be. And that's to be kind, right? There was a Henry James quote, which I can't remember off the top of my head how it began, but he was talking about the 3 rules of life. Number 1, be kind. Number 2, be kind. And number 3, be kind. So you can say, be kind to the people around you, be kind to the things around you, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. When we are kind to ourselves, it is easier for us to give back to the world. It is easier for us to put that light out into the world that needs to be out there, or put the help out that we can help with, to do all these things. And that's the most important part, is to be kind to yourself, to love yourself, to find that self-love within yourself. And and like I said, I just want to repeat this one last time. Whenever you find yourself doubting if you can go on, just remember how far you've come. Okay? So, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you, Thomas and older sibling, for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you to whoever who watches this later on the rebroadcast, right? Make it sound all professional, rebroadcast. I do post these. These are live on Facebook. So I'm sorry, my brain is I'm pushing it to its limit right now. So just because I really am trying to settle everything and just kind of get back into my zone and my balance. But as I do that, sometimes it gets a little messy. But Facebook, I do these every morning, Monday through Friday, on Facebook Live. It is public, so anybody can watch it. I do post them later, or right afterwards, I should say, to YouTube. So it's the Aloha Perspective with Shelley Marie Lucas. And then I do share it to Twitter. So under Goalie Fan 1973 or Shellbell's Quest. So Shellbell's Quest is my mental health page. But so yeah, please, if you ever want to join in, Monday through Thursday is when I do topics. Friday, just to kind of go into the weekend for some fun, I do an Oracle Friday. So I just pull some Oracle cards and we have a good time and chit chat and this, that, and the other. Anybody that ever watches these, please always feel free to comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, it's fine. Everything is always open to discussion. Like I said, this is my perspective. I don't mean like this is my perspective, you can't talk. I mean, this is my perspective. This is my perception of things, because this is how I've seen it on the path that I've been on, the journey I've been on. So again, I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Facebook Live. Once more, I do post these to YouTube right after under the same name, The Aloha Perspective with Shelley Marie. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, your feelings are valid. One last time, I know the struggle is real right now going on in this world as we deal with a lot of bad things that are happening at this moment. And I know there are people who we will look at and say, wow, they have it so much worse than I do. Yes, there are a lot of people who have it so much worse than we do right now, but your feelings are still valid. So you need to make sure that you take care of your feelings, that you acknowledge them, that you feel them, and if you have to, heal it. Okay, you have to feel it to heal it. You have to go through it to grow through it. All right. So, don't feel bad for feeling bad. Okay, just do what you have to do to take care of yourself. And remember to continuously try to put your light out into this world. Definitely can use it right now. So, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, you are worth it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.